Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Career Confidence Podcast with myself, Georgie Hubbard. And today, the amazing Pamela Courtwell is joining me on the mic, my fellow business partner, co-host Pam. Great to have you here today.
Oh, I love always being on the hot seat, and it's always a joy to be joining the audience.
Yeah, it really, really is. And this is such a privilege. We were just saying that before we hit record, how we absolutely love doing these episodes for you. We always get really good feedback. I feel like it's probably because we're so honest and raw and, just have literally the conversations that you and I have day to day and share. So hopefully you're enjoying these episodes that Pam and I are doing together. We are going to do many more of them because of the feedback that we get from you. So please reach out to us. We love hearing from you. But look, it's been a few weeks, obviously, since we jumped on and did the last episode together. And this one's going to be, I guess, a little bit of an insight into what we've been working on quite recently. And look, just to give everybody a bit of an overview of Pam and I. Obviously, as you know, we've got our recruitment company, CH Talent Solutions, and we've had that now for 7 years, or coming up for 7 years. Pam and I have worked together for 10, so we do know each other very, very well. And we have also been developing some workshops and some presentations for our clients to really, really help develop and encourage and empower their women in technology, right? So this is things that we do alongside our recruitment company for our clients, because we do really see there's a bit of a gap going on with, certain teams when it comes to confidence, when it comes to women stepping into leadership roles, which is why we also have the mentorship program. So we're always thinking about things that can really help our clients and the women that we have gone on to really know and really build some great relationships with as well. So today we wanted to actually give you some insights into a workshop that we will be running with one of our amazing clients, 7-Eleven. And the workshop is all around career confidence, what it is, what it isn't, how to build it. And as we were putting together the workshop and putting together the slides and really, really thinking about this over the last number of weeks and months, there's been a real few things that have come out of it that we thought we would love to share with you today, and in hope that this really helps you as it's going to help our clients and the women at 7-Eleven next week. So Pam, I know you love putting together these workshops, but thoughts on why they're important, why we do it, and then we'll sort of dig into the content that we've got in the presentation.
Yeah, look, I think this has all stemmed from time and time again, receiving feedback from female candidates that we've presented to interview that they just didn't present as confident enough. And I think you and I just took a bit of a pause and thought, there's not a skills gap here. There's a confidence gap. This candidate has got the skills and the experience in abundance, but for some reason, they weren't able to translate that successfully enough from a confidence perspective in order to land the role. So this isn't something that's new. It's not fresh. This is feedback that we've actually been receiving for years and years. And again, just with our Sisterhood Club initiatives, we like to keep a finger on the pulse of what the market is doing, what the market is telling us, the feedback that we're receiving, and the initiatives that we sort of develop for Sisterhood Club. They're going to continue to iterate based on what we're hearing and what we're feeling from the market. And we want to make sure that the workshops that we put together are going to be as impactful as possible. And this is something that if we can pull together and roll out to the market to really help people flourish and thrive and help them become more confident in how they present themselves and how they feel internally, then that is honestly something that I would really love to bring to the market. So the fact that we have put so much time and effort to pulling this workshop together, I am just hoping that it has the impact that I know it can have, because often we don't take the time to sort of stop and think, okay, I've not presented as confident enough to secure that role. or I've not presented confident enough to secure that promotion. How do you work on that? How do you work on that? You know, if it's not something you've ever thought before, how do you take the time to do that? So this is where the inspiration for pulling this workshop together really started, Georgie, right?
Yeah.
So I am so excited to be able to go into the 7-Eleven offices and hopefully help a few of those women develop and even think about how they can develop their confidence in certain ways.
Beautiful.
So yeah.
No, 100%. And I wish it wasn't true, but it is. I do think that women especially, and look, and some men as well. I do speak to a lot of men that do struggle with like self-belief, but it does tend to be a lot more women that we work with that really do struggle with this. And I think the first thing that we always say and encourage is that whole self-awareness piece, right? Because once you're aware of something, you have the power to change it. So how we will open up the workshop, and I feel like this is an exercise that you can do at home, is just to actually understand on a scale of like 1 to 10, where would you put yourself right now in terms of that self-belief, right? How much belief do you have in yourself that you can achieve what you want to achieve, get the job done, step outside your comfort zone? Like, where are you on that self-belief scale? Are you a 1 or a 2 or 3? Like, or are you sort of somewhere in the middle, or are you a 9 or a 10, right? But wherever you are, it's okay. You know, because once you are aware, you get the power to change it, right? And I think that so many people, and look, myself included in this for a long time, go through life completely unaware of what's holding us back and what our limiting beliefs are. And that can show up in real sort of self-sabotaging situations, right? So the first thing that we need to do before we even start to begin to work on ourselves is just to really take stock of actually where we are and be truthful with that. And it's okay if you are sitting there right now and you have very low levels of self-belief. You don't believe in yourself. Maybe you've had a few situations in life that's knocked your confidence. And it's just honoring that. It's just being like, okay, this is where I am. What am I going to do about that? You know, am I happy being, you know, at the bottom end of the self-belief scale, or do I want to make my way up the scale? Because I do believe there is a link between career success, life success, and how we actually feel about ourselves. And I do think that a lot of the times when we don't have that belief in self, that trust in self, we will constantly hold ourselves back. We will sabotage our success, and we will never get to where we truly want to be. So I do think it is the foundation upon which everything is built on, which is why I'm so passionate about teaching women, especially, how to believe in themselves, how to build their confidence. So that's where we're going to really start the workshop. We're going to kick it off by getting the women in the room to understand, where are you currently, and wherever you are, that's great. You know, acknowledge that, honor that. And now we're going to do something about it. So yeah, that's kind of where we're going to start the workshop, and why I personally believe awareness is so important.
Yeah, totally. So obviously you're listening to this just now. If you are, hit pause and sit with yourself for a couple of minutes and truly reflect on where you feel that you sit at the moment on that scale. So hit pause and off you go.
Yeah, absolutely. Self-reflection is so key, getting to know yourself and what holds you back. So once you're aware of it, now let's going to go into the next step, which is actually understanding what confidence is. And I like to think about this, and we were talking about this the other day, Pam, about like two sort of ways. You've got internal confidence and external confidence, right? And I think people who are confident, they look a certain way, they speak a certain way, they hold themselves a certain way, and it's very externally focused. But I think the real, I guess, truth when it comes to confidence is aligning both your internal and your external. So let's kind of break this down, right? So obviously, first and foremost, confidence is that belief in your ability to succeed. You've got to have that fundamental belief that I can succeed in my life, in my career. That's what I believe confidence is. But there are sort of two ways to look at this. So first and foremost, let's go to internal confidence, because I think this is where everything all stems from, right? If you don't get this, doesn't matter how you dress, how you present yourself, how you speak, how you hold yourself. If you don't fundamentally believe internally that you can achieve something, you won't ever achieve it, right? So we have to first and foremost work on our internal confidence. So that whole belief in yourself. let's just talk about that for a second, right? Because look, you and I have gone through some really tough times in our business, right? And we have always, I think the thing that's kind of enabled us to keep on pushing through those tough times is the belief that everything will be okay. And I think the reason why we have that belief is because we do believe in ourselves and each other. But more importantly, I do feel we have this trust in ourselves, like we've got this, we can do this. So how important do you think that whole belief in yourself is?
Absolutely massive. That internal self-belief to me is absolutely, it's pinnacle. It's pinnacle to any success, anything that you're going to achieve. And you don't necessarily have to be, again, this is going to link into external, but if I just reflect on me personally, you'll never catch me going, I am amazing at this. I think that I am so fantastic at this. That is not me. But in my own mind, I deeply believe in my abilities and I deeply believe that I am good at what I do. But I would not say that out loud because it's just not who I am. But internally, I truly believe that I can do hard things. And I honestly believe that I can achieve whatever I set my mind to do. If I want to do something, I believe that I will execute on that and I'll do it and I'll do it well. And I think to myself, where did that come from? Where does that confidence came from? But again, you say that, when you do things over time, just these slow, steady things that you do over time. And if you, basically build that confidence over time that you can achieve things, that's where the internal self-belief comes from. And I think back to even from when I was younger, I was never someone to pick something up and drop it or pick something up and I'm fed up with that. If I chose to do something, even a sport, if I chose to do something, I really, really stuck at things. Even if I wasn't so good to start with, swimming, I'll take that for example. It's a really easy one that we all do when we're younger. I didn't actually learn to swim until I was 10. But I got in that pool and I went from nothing. Everyone swimming lanes up and down, beside me. I honestly couldn't go from side to side. I just didn't know what to do because I was a late starter. But I've just always had discipline. And I want to get good at this. And I've tried and tried and tried and slowly but surely built up that confidence. I ended up swimming competitively as well. So that's just one example. But I've never been one to just pick up something and then drop it if I'm not good at it. It's just stick things out and build up that confidence slowly that you can go from crap to great if you put your mind to it. So that is when I actually reflect back, probably how over the years I have cultivated a great internal confidence and self-belief, because I know that even if I ain't too good at something, I will stick with it until I get to the point that I think I've absolutely nailed this. I'm really good at this. Does that make sense?
It makes so much sense. And I think actually you don't realize how powerful what you just said was, because it all goes back to like what we say is like confidence is a skill. It's like first comes courage. You had the courage to get in the pool in the first place. We also didn't do the 3 C's that take away confidence, which we're going to go and talk about. You just stayed in your own lane. I think swimming is such a great analogy because you weren't looking at everybody else's lane and how fast they were going and how further ahead they were. You were just there, one stroke in front of the other, one arm, one leg, kick, keep going. And that took courage. And then once you kept on getting in the pool and overcoming that fear, you then grew into competence, right? You started getting good at it. And then that reinforces the belief that you've got something. And then comes the confidence. And what people tend to do is they wait. I can't get in the pool until I feel confident. That will never come. That day will never come. You have to just dive off the deep end and start swimming. And I think that whole analogy that you just described is so powerful. And the other thing I would say is that I do think this is what you just said then is a really big lesson for us all, because I think in life, we want to be good at things straight away. We want to pick up an instrument and start playing. Like things take time. We have to stick at things long enough, right? And things, we might do something for a year or two and go, actually, this isn't for me. And that's okay. But I feel like what erodes confidence is if we pick things up, drop things, pick things up, drop things. And you see like kids doing so many things, they never get a chance to get good at anything. And my child was very the same. Like I chose 2 sports and I got really good at those two sports. And then I got confident and good at it. Like mine was like netball, and I also did like a lot of like horse riding. Like I grew up in like the country and stuff. So I got really good at those two things. And I got confident at them both. But imagine if I was like doing so many different things and I stretched myself too thin, I wasn't good at anything. That as a child is going to erode my confidence. So I think what you just said is so powerful. So, you know, when we are starting something new, we're not going to be good at it instantly. That's okay. Stick with it, because the courage, then the competence, then the confidence comes. So I think that is so powerful. And that's what then stacks the belief. Like you were saying, it's like, you know, once you reinforce that belief, I've got this, you build trust in yourself that you can go and do something and you can go on to achieve something. And that whole swimming story is just so powerful. So yeah, perfect example of what belief in self can do and can achieve. The other thing I think about internal confidence is that whole resilience piece, right? Because that resilience is needed now more than ever, right? And this is a skill that so many of our clients are asking for, so many people in the workplace need. The world's not getting any easier. It's speeding up. Change is coming at such a rapid pace. And that resilience, that sort of like tenacity, that drive and that determination, that also comes from that internal confidence that I can do this. Nothing's going to stop me doing it. So that resilience piece is absolutely critical as well, from that whole internal confidence piece as well. And then the final piece, I think, when it comes to internal confidence is that whole self-acceptance, right? Just learning to love and accept yourself, right? Like, when no one's perfect, no one has got it all figured out. And I think it's so easy to just look over the garden fence, compare yourself, you know, and just sort of like, oh, I wish I was more like that, or I wish I was less like this. And you just got to learn to just, you know, we've all got, you know, good and bad and, you know, right and wrong. And it's like, we're multifaceted, right? We're not just one thing as human beings. And it's learning to love all sides of us, even the rugged side, even the side that's not polished, right? Because we all have these little insecurities, these little like quirks that we have, or like these little characteristics that maybe we don't like, but it is also who we are. And if we don't want to work on it, we've got to accept that, oh, well, that's kind of who I am. And like, people talk a lot about being authentic. And I don't think you can be authentic if you don't really love and honor who you are. And I think that all comes back to really understanding yourself, your values, what's important to you. But that whole self-acceptance piece, when it comes to that internal confidence, like really loving who you are as a person, I think that's really, really key. And I think sadly, I speak to so many women that don't have any self-love or self-worth. And I think it's so sad. They pick themselves apart. They focus on all the things they don't like about themselves. Like typically it's to do with appearance or body image, or, you know, oh, I'm not as confident as that person. And we need to stop doing that. We need to stop putting ourselves down and actually learn to just look at ourselves as a whole human being. Because I do think like also beauty does come from within as well. Like if you're a nice person, that can shine through as well. And I do think so many people put themselves down and don't love and accept themselves for who they are. And it is really damaging.
Very, very damaging. It is actually so important to just, like, you know, how boring would it be if we were all the same? How boring would it be if we all didn't have our individual little quirks? And I could probably relate that to an example in business, actually. Those of you who know me, I can be quite loud, vibrant, big sparkly bouncy personality. But like, honestly, I am like naturally probably a bit of a louder person, really energetic, positive, cheery. That is just by default probably more my nature. Now you take that into a professional services environment, and, you know, Georgie and I obviously are co-founders of a recruitment business, very professional services. We deal with corporate clients, and sometimes in a meeting setting, if I've went in and been really authentic to myself, I've maybe sometimes had that doubt. Oh my God, did I expose a bit too much of my personality there? Because we're also dealing in tech. And, you know, sometimes that mirror matching, I've sometimes came out if I've been, you know, a bit caffeinated and I've thought, oh my God, was I too much? Yeah. Was I a bit too excited there? Was I a bit too this? Was I a bit too that? So we all have it. But how boring if I just dulled that down, dulled my sparkle to be in line and mirror, you know, the other personalities in a room. Be you and be proud of who you are and allow your personality to flourish. I can actually relate this to a conversation I had a couple of weeks ago. My daughter plays soccer, and we had a soccer mum's lunch, and we were out, and one of the mums, was being really vulnerable, and her daughter, she just doesn't fit into a box. And I thought, how interesting. And her and her husband are actually really struggling with that at the moment, that her daughter isn't necessarily the girly, likes to wear dresses, likes Taylor Swift, likes all the things that the other girls love at the moment. And as parents, they're having to go on a journey to almost accept and embrace who their daughter is at the moment. But beautifully, they love who she is. They love, and they're working hard at the moment to really try and embrace that and make her feel comfortable with who she is. And we're talking about really young girls at the moment. They're 8. But I just think how boring. I love this young girl's personality. I love who she is. She's such a sporty little girl, and she's just got the most beautiful, kind personality. She's bold. She's, but because she doesn't fit in a box, our parents are having to go on a little bit of a journey as to, right, okay, how can we make sure that she grows up where she's got the self-acceptance, because they know she's not in a box from that age. But, we do need to embrace different angles of our personality and always remain true to who you are. Because I know if I tried to dull my sparkle, shall we call it, it would make me operate in a way that is completely out of line with who I am as a person. And I think that's when these negative feelings can pop up. This is when anxiety can really stem and grow over time. And then the self-doubt comes in because you're not really being true to who you are. But yeah, that's just a really powerful. I'm going off on a tangent here, Georgie.
Yeah. No, not at all. And I think that, the whole parenting thing is a whole other topic in itself. But I think that I don't think I fit into a box when I was a young girl. I didn't have like one group of friends. I was friends with lots of different people at school. Like I've never probably fitted into a box. I feel like I've got multiple different sides of Georgie. I've got this free spirit Georgie that wants to travel and go and have adventures. I've got this ambitious, driven Georgie that wants to grow a very successful business. And I've got this real sort of hippie Georgie that like really enjoys like spirituality and meditation and long walks in nature. And I think we've got to honor all of these sides of us. We're like a diamond, like we've got multiple different sides. And I think that if we try and just focus on one at the expense of all the others, we end up very, very unhappy and not true to who we are. And I think that society wants to put us in a box. You're an 8-year-old girl. You should like Taylor Swift, Barbies, dancing, ballet. Like, what absolute rubbish. If I was that girl's parents, I'd be friggin' proud. Yeah. I'd be like, we are raising a conscious young girl that's going to grow up to be a woman that's not being dictated to by society and the noise and society telling her who she should be, how she should think. And she is going to be so out of that program that she's going to go on and do exceptional things if they get out of her own way and don't try and box her in and don't try and force her to be something she's not. And I think that's something that my parents did really, really well with me. They just let me go off and do what I wanted to do. And that's why I believe I've become the woman I am today, because I've been allowed to explore multiple sides of me in a really safe environment. So yeah, I do think it's like honoring, we've got all these different sides of us and they all want to be expressed. And sometimes we need to focus on one more than the other. And sometimes they can really conflict. But, like I said, that's all part of being human, right? Like we've got all of these different sides of us, all of these different thoughts and feelings, and we need to honor it all. But self-acceptance is so, so important. I think the more you can sit with yourself, the more you can understand who you are as a person, the better decisions you'll make. And then you won't wake up one day and go, hang on a minute, how did I get here? Or you won't climb a mountain to get to the top to go, this is the wrong mountain, right? And I feel we constantly do need to check in with ourselves to make sure that we are living in alignment with who we truly are. And that's ultimately what I also do believe creates that confidence and belief in yourself.
What is that analogy that you told me once, right? And this is just about, just to stem back to the whole resilience piece and keep going and just embrace the struggle. Was it climbing Mount Everest?
Oh, yeah.
I love this one,
Yeah.
right? Now you can correct me if I don't get it right.
Yeah.
But Mount Everest, you can either climb to the top of Mount Everest, or you can get a helicopter to the top.
Same view.
Same view, different feeling.
Mm-hmm.
Have I got it right?
You have.
Right.
Yeah, you have.
Yeah.
And I think like that's the thing. Most people want the easy route to the top, but it's actually the climb that we need to go on to become who we need to be when we get to the top. And that's why people who win the lottery end up broke again. You know, it's why people who I think inherit lots of money, they end up not being happy because they haven't achieved the end result themselves. And they do always say it, don't they? It's not the destination, it's the journey. And I want to get to the top of my Everest, my North Star, and be proud and have also equipped myself with all the skills that I needed to climb. I think that's such a powerful analogy for life. And again, this all stems back to belief in yourself, because if you don't believe in yourself, you'll never take the first step. And then when you come up against challenges, you'll go back down again. So it's just that constant belief in oneself that can constantly just be pushing ourselves to grow and to learn and to get better and to evolve as human beings. But yeah, I did love that analogy of like, you know.
I really, really love that one because it's one that's gave us a few chuckles over the past year and a half.
Yes.
Yeah, because the economy has been so challenging. Our line of business has been so challenging. And, you know, quite often I've turned to Georgie and just went, God damn, I cannot wait to get to the top of this Mount Everest. I am ready to see those views.
Or shall we order a helicopter and just fly up to the top?
Yeah. But look, the reality is like the week when you're experiencing some challenging points in your career, it's going to be topsy-turvy and you're going to take 3 steps forward, 1 step back. That's okay. It is about the struggle. And that is what actually builds and cultivates the confidence over time. So we have a laugh and a joke about that analogy. But again, it's about trying to just embrace the struggle and keep it really lighthearted as well. Otherwise, it can really weigh you down. You know, so just enjoy it, embrace the struggle. And that is a tough thing to do on a weekly basis when you're going through a little bit of a roller coaster, but stick with it, stick it out, and you will cultivate that confidence. And that is going to be so powerful for building up that internal belief, that internal self-confidence, which is fundamentally so, so important.
Yeah. So yeah, that is definitely internal confidence. It is a constant journey. It's a work in progress. And that is just incredibly powerful. So that's internal. We'll touch upon now external confidence, because I think this is what obviously the world sees. The world doesn't see what's going on in your mind, in your body, in your emotions, behind closed doors. It sees what you decide to, portray into the world, right? So this external confidence, right? So this is what I think that a lot of people focus a lot on. You know, we look at somebody and go, oh God, they're so confident, right? Because they are behaving in a certain way. So it's how others perceive you, right? And I think internal and external confidence are both very important, right? Because you could have all the internal belief in the world, but then if you don't sort of showcase that, you're never going to get ahead in life, because at the end of the day, you need to step up. You need to put your hat in the ring. You need to keep on sort of like showing up and putting your hand up to get the opportunities, right? So they both are very, very important. But when I think of someone who's got external confidence, it's how they speak, their tone of voice, how they hold themselves, how they dress, how they present. That's very external confidence, right? And that person who's got that external confidence will likely also have some internal confidence as well. But we're going to go on to other things, because where I believe external confidence gets blurred and not truly authentic is when you are constantly seeking validation from others. And this is where the external confidence becomes a bit toxic, because if you base your confidence on other people's opinions of you, on what society thinks you are, that is very, very unstable foundations. Because as soon as somebody goes, oh, I didn't think that was that good, or oh, your hair's a bit off today, or you get a zit, or something happens in your external environment, right? Instantly, you're going to crumble. So there's not solid foundations. And I do think so many people, we live in a world now where it's very much like we're posting on social media a lot. Like, I think there's a lot of people that are relying far too heavily on what the world thinks of them rather than what they think of themselves. And that's where I think this whole confidence is getting a bad rap or mismanaged or not truly understood, is because too many people are focusing on the external validation of others rather than what they believe about themselves. And we all do know people, I'm sure, that externally come across as very confident. We'll meet them and go, oh goodness, he's confident. But then you hear a few months down the line that they've had a breakdown or something. And it's because they haven't worked on themselves internally. They are, and this happens actually a lot with, like, you see, like, young, when children become famous.
Mm-hmm.
You see that, often they'll go on to have a breakdown, or somebody's not worked themselves and becomes famous and gets all the money, and then they end up, in rehab. It's because they are, the world telling them they're amazing, they're amazing, they're amazing. And then as soon as something happens where, maybe they do a bad movie or they stuff up somehow, they crumble because they just have not worked on themselves, and the world's told them they're amazing, but they don't feel it inside. They feel like an imposter. They don't feel good enough. And unfortunately, you see it time and time and time again. I'm using celebrities because it's something that we can all sort of relate to, and we can all, it's in our face, right? Mm. But we all know these people that haven't got the internal confidence to back up what they're projecting externally. And that, to me, is the furthest thing away from true confidence you can get, because it's all based on insecurity.
Speaking of celebrities, there's one quote that always sticks in my mind that I think can relate to this really, really well. And it was something that I heard from Reese Witherspoon.
Oh, I love Reese.
Who, by the way, heard it from someone else, right? So it's not the original source, but I heard it from Reese Witherspoon. Yeah. And I read it at the time, and she said, other people's opinion of you is none of your business.
Mm.
And I thought, wow.
Yeah.
That is really powerful. And I honestly think, I meet so many people, so many new people, professionally, personally. And I think, do you know what? I think as long as you're being true to you, I know I'm great. I know that I'm great to be around. I am a fantastic friend professionally. Very professional, offer a good service, always do a good job. If for whatever reason I do not connect with someone, or someone does not connect with me, or someone has got something negative to say about me, I can honestly say at this stage of my life, it does not affect me. It just doesn't. Because fundamentally, I know me very well. I know that if I am always true to my own values and true to who I am, I'm okay with that. Mm-hmm. Because you don't have to be for everyone. You just don't. Mm-hmm. And that is okay. Mm. As long as you're being true to yourself. Now, there's maybe been one or two times in my life professionally where I've maybe not acted in line with who I actually am. Mm. And by God, it affects me if someone's not liked me because of something that I've done that is out of line with who I know that I am. Yeah. And that's sat with me. But if I am always true to who I am and I am acting in a way that is so in line with my core values, if I get the impression that someone's not quite connected with me, that doesn't really like me, totally okay with it.
100%. And you're not going to get on with everyone.
No, of course not.
That's the truth, right? Like, you're not going to, not everybody's going to bond with you, be on the same page with you. And that's okay. Like, I have a saying, don't I? Season, reason, lifetime. Some people come into your life for a lifetime, like yourself. You are a lifetime friend. I will know you for the rest of my life. Some people have come into my life for a season, when, for example, when I was, in my young 20s and I was traveling a lot, I met a lot of friends at the time, but they were seasonal friends. They were people that I had a great time with at that stage of my life, but, I might not see them again. And then there's people that come into life for a reason, to teach you things, to help you evolve and learn and grow as a human being. And I think that that's the beautiful way to look at life, because if we try and cling on to people but really, like, they've just sort of been sent to teach us things, we end up then sort of doubting ourselves, like, oh, what's wrong with me? What's wrong with me? It's like, doesn't matter. Nothing's wrong with you. It's just that these people are going to come into your life for a reason, a season, or a lifetime. And you get to decide who those people are. And I think that's really, really powerful. So again, just coming back to like, just summarize this whole piece, because I think that this is where a lot of people go wrong when it comes to confidence. You've got your internal confidence, which is the belief in yourself, how you feel on a moment-to-moment basis. Can you achieve what you want to achieve? Your resilience, your authenticity, loving, accepting who you are. You got the external confidence, which is important, like how you present yourself, how you speak, how you hold yourself, because that's what's going to get you noticed in a professional setting. And that is really important as well. However, where it comes a bit toxic when it comes to the external is if it's not based upon strong foundations. If you haven't already got those internal, that internal confidence, that's where the external confidence could end up letting you down. So work on both. They're both equally important. And I think the key piece before we move on to what can still confidence, what can build confidence, is bridging the gap between the two. That's what we all need to work on. We need to make sure that we've got great communication, we present ourselves well, but we are constantly doing the inner work to reaffirm we are enough, we are good enough, we have that belief in self, we know who we are, we like who we are, and that's what's going to build true confidence. So
can we just like sort of dip back? I don't know if we're going to go on to this, but just in terms of that external confidence, I think that we can't talk about that without talking about the power of posture, how you hold yourself,
absolutely.
doing the Superwoman pose before, you actually go into an interview or a presentation or just like a Monday morning meeting. If you actually think about what external confidence looks like to you, that is what it is to me. I look at how someone holds themselves. Yeah. If someone is standing with a bit of authority and just exuding the confidence that they can do this job. That if you think about when you're in a setting, if you're going for a promotion, if you want to present yourself in a way that instills confidence and belief that the person that's interviewing you for that promotion or for that role, they leave with a sense of, I know that they can do this job. So the power of actually how you hold yourself and how you present yourself, it is very important when it comes to that external confidence.
Very. But I also think here's the trick, because we all give off an energy, and you know how we say to some people, God, when she walks in the room, she's in the room. It's because she's nailed both. She comes in a well-dressed, immaculate, great tone of voice, doing a superpower pose, body language off, speaks with authority, but she gives off this energy. And that's the internal confidence. That's when you go, she's got both matched together, because when she or he speaks, you just listen. And that you can't quite describe that or put that into words, but that's when I know somebody's matched up both, because the energy they give off, they just have that belief in themselves. They speak and you want to listen to what they've got to say. That's what we need to work on. That's the gap that we need to bridge. What the world sees and what's going on inside of us. That's absolutely key. But look, let's go on now to sort of talk about them. So if we understand what confidence is, we understand how it can be seen and what we need to work on, but also let's just quickly touch upon now what actually steals our confidence. And we've broken it down into 3 C's that steal and 3 C's that build. I think these are sort of easier for people to remember. So the first C that will steal your confidence is comparison. We have all done it. And now more than ever, it's so easy to do it. We can log on to our LinkedIn, our Instagram, our Facebook, so we can go, oh, they're on holiday again. Look at their life. Oh God, look how fabulous she looks in that bikini. Oh God, I'm never going to have that body. Or, oh God, I'm never going to have that sort of lifestyle. And oh God, look at the perfect family, right? So easy. And I honestly think this is the thing that steals people's belief in themselves and confidence the most, is comparing themselves to other people. Now, just quickly on this, because this is absolutely key. We all have a different set of values, and this is our internal compass, right? My value is different to your values, Pam. We do have actually quite a few cross values, which is why we're really good friends and why we're business partners. But in terms of I guess our 2 core values, mine would be health I'm really into like fitness and well-being. Yours is family, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we make sure every single week that you are valuing your number one value and I'm valuing my number one value, right? This is absolutely key, because if we are comparing ourselves to people with totally different value systems than us, that is a recipe for disaster. The reason why some people are extremely financially successful is because they put a huge focus onto that. That's the number one driver: money, finance, status. And that is fantastic. If that's what their values are, amazing. But if your values are family or adventure or health or I don't know, something else, and you're comparing with somebody whose number one value is finance, like you can't compare. You cannot compare yourself to somebody with a completely different set of values. It's a recipe for disaster. Or if you don't maybe prioritize like health and fitness and you're looking at somebody that does, and they're in amazing shape, well, you don't prioritize health and fitness. So you're never going to be in the shape they're in. And that's okay. Again, it all comes back to self-acceptance. Exactly. Accepting who you are. Right. And I think this is the key piece that people don't speak about enough, is that if we don't live in accordance to our values, we won't be happy and we won't have belief in ourselves and we won't enjoy our lives. We've got to stop comparing ourselves to people that are totally different to us and have a completely different set of values to us.
Absolutely. Absolutely agree. Now, look, I will be honest and I'll say that comparison isn't really something that I've ever massively struggled with.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not someone that looks over the garden fence.
No.
But I'm also very happy with my own life, right? And I think that's where it comes from. I'm happy in my lane.
But you know your values.
But I know my values, right? But I can relate this back to when we first started CH Solutions. My values were completely topsy-turvy because I prioritized business and probably money and that career over family at that time.
But just to interject here, right?
Yeah, because I know you're wanting to try.
Because this is what we always talk about, right? You have values and you have needs. And at that time of your life, you literally got fired because the company we used to work for found out it was center of business. It was a horrific time. You had no money in the bank account. You had a child, 2-year-old child. You had no choice.
She was one.
She was one. Jesus. You had no choice but to work and to earn money, because what was the alternative? You were going to be on the streets of Port Melbourne?
Genuinely on the streets.
Seriously. So your need had to, at that point in your life, had to outweigh your value, because you needed the financial stability and security to support your family.
Yeah. And at that time as well, I think that I didn't. So my point being, my values were topsy-turvy and I in turn did actually have anxiety. However, also, I think back, I was 31 at the time as well. I didn't necessarily have the tools in my kit at that point to be able to switch off. So when I was with family and I was having that time, it's not what I was thinking of. I wasn't present. And that's where it can go really wrong. So I think the power of actually knowing your values and having them very in line. So for example, we've met a couple of people over the years. Head of technology, wants to be CTO, also wants to be there for school drop-off and school pick-up. You have to be honest with yourself. You have to be honest with where you're at in your life. Are you ready for that promotion? Are you ready to take on that role if your number one value is family?
Yeah.
Probably not. But you need to be honest with yourself about what sacrifices you are willing to make at that particular point in your career. Otherwise, you are likely setting yourself up for not failure, but you're setting yourself up for a ton of imposter syndrome to come in. Because imposter syndrome can hit all facets of our life, right? Like personal and professional. You're setting yourself up for all these sort of negative feelings to start creeping in. Guilt, shame, all that stuff. So I think knowing your values, you are right, is so important to cultivate that self-belief and that confidence in things and not look over the garden fence. Like you and I could hop on LinkedIn and look at other, directors of recruitment firms. I've got some friends that beautifully I went through my career with that also have set up their own recruitment firms across the US, the UK and Australia. And I could look and on the surface think, I think they're maybe a little bit ahead of where I'm at the moment, but I would always prefer to do things really authentically and in line with what our core values are.
Correct.
Because although our core values are different, they're very much similar.
Exactly. And just on that as well, it's like, just because, and again, it's like this is where comparison comes in. It's like, yeah, you could go on LinkedIn and look at all the people you used to work with and think, oh, they're growing, bigger businesses than I am, or maybe they've got more profit than I have. But at the end of the day, define what success means to you, right? Because your version of success is very different to what Bob Jones's version of success is, right? Your version of success right now in your life, again, values can change over time, but right now it's waking up every morning and having time with your girls. Then it's being at school drop off most days, right? You don't get to do that every day, but most days you get to pick Emily up from school and pick Sky up from daycare. That is more important to you right now. So you are living a very successful, rich life.
Yeah.
And I know for me, like, travel is important. This year I got to go up to Queensland for a bit. I got to go back to the UK and see my family for a bit. That right now is important to me, to have that freedom in my life and that travel in my life. And that outweighs the need to go on and grow like a massive recruitment company. Cause that's just not what I want in my life right now. I want to have more experiences. So it's just making sure that when you are looking at other people, you're not getting lost in it, because it's so easy to look and go, I want what they've got. Do you really? Because what they've had to sacrifice and what they've had to do to get to that point, are you prepared to do? And is that really going to make you happy? Because as everybody knows, success without fulfillment is the ultimate failure, right? So if you chase that and you forgo everything that's truly important to you, you're going to get to that goal, that destination, and be miserable. And how many people do we know that's done that and have worked themselves into the ground to get to where they want to be? And then they get to the end and they're depressed, they're exhausted, they're burnt out, because they haven't been true to who they truly are. So comparison is a huge one. And it will absolutely steal. I'm going to run through these next key points quite quickly, because I mean, we could literally be sat here for like 5 hours.
Because I was actually just about to go on a tangent, and it's like, can I just actually say this though? Genuinely do be careful about who you compare yourself with, because there would be people that would look and think, oh my gosh, like look at, Pam's at school drop off and school pick, and she runs her own business. Yeah, but Pam also gets her kids to bed at night and sits for another 3 hours and smashes out what needs to be done in order to get the job done. So again, it's just, you genuinely do need to be, aware of who you are actually comparing yourself to. Correct. It's like, some of the most successful people in the world go, you would not want to be in my head.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And it really, really powerful. Right. So I think genuinely just be aware of that comparison thing. If you're someone that does actually naturally tend to compare yourself to others, just really think back and always make sure that you bring it back to your core values and just operate in a way that you are proud of.
Absolutely. 100%. So the other two, the two of the 3 C's that impact confidence in a negative way: complaining.
Oh,
yeah.
I hate complainers. I cannot be around complainers.
I know.
Please do not complain.
It's like focusing on things you can't control. It's like putting the blame onto others. I can't do this because of that thing or that person or this circumstance. Like I have no time for people that play the victim in their life. I find it very, very challenging to have, I'm just going to say, any sort of compassion. And that is something I do work on, because I always do think that it's just like, we've all got stuff that's happened in our lives, right? All of us. There's not one person walking this planet today that hasn't gone through something that has been slightly traumatizing, or either if it's in a minor or a huge trauma, right? We've all got stuff that's happened in our lives, and complaining, playing the victim, blaming other people, you're just literally giving your power away. That is, honestly, I just think I've had to work on it a lot, right? In terms of being very aware of not taking responsibility. Now, everything that could possibly go wrong, anything that happens in the business, in my life, I take full responsibility instantly. And even if like you or one of the team go, no, actually, Joe, I want to put my hands up. No, I'm taking responsibility of this, because as soon as I do it, I know I'm drawing the power back to me. I'm not putting it away and blaming somebody else or like complaining about someone else. I'm going, no, I want to take responsibility for this because now I have the power to change it. So that is such a big stealer of confidence, because you give your power away. As soon as you complain, as soon as you moan, as soon as you blame, as soon as you play the victim of your life, you literally strip yourself of all power. And I just, it's infuriating. It's frustrating for me when I do come across people that you listen to them and I go, wow, you're just disempowering yourself by thinking that and saying that. Be really, really aware of your language that you use. Really, really aware. But
can I just say as well, is like when it comes to that complaining, just honestly, if you go to complain about something, take a pause and reflect for a second, because if you actually take ownership over the quote unquote problems or issues or the situation that you're complaining about, if you take ownership of that, it can be so empowering, so freeing. You can have some really powerful light bulb moments. Think, wow, right? I'm going to own this. I'm going to learn from this experience. I'm going to let it go. But I am never going to make this same mistake again. I am never going to repeat this complaining situation. That in itself is quite empowering and quite freeing. And then again, just relating back to that confidence. For example, if I can relate it back to our career, we've made some pretty epic mistakes on the past 7 years.
How long have we got?
I know.
Strap in.
I'm not going to do a deep dive on that because we will be here for a few hours. But we have.
Yeah.
We really, really have made some pretty massive mistakes that have had an impact financially, huge.
Emotionally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'll give us our due. We own it.
Oh God, massively.
We absolutely own it.
Imagine if I sat here and I was blaming you or you were blaming me. Like, we'd end up just not moving forward, and it would just be like, we just end up in this constant state of frustration.
Massive.
Instead of just being like, I'm owning this. You're like, no, I'm owning this. And we always fight over who's taking responsibility.
No, it's me.
Yeah, it's my fault. It's my fault. I blame me.
Yeah.
And then we quickly move on.
Yeah, of course we do.
Yeah.
That is so, so powerful. It's very empowering, just like owning your own mistakes, groans, grumbles. So anything that you're complaining about, stop and think, why am I complaining about this?
Yeah.
What could I have done differently, and move on, right?
100%.
Deal with it with grace.
And I was actually having this conversation in the coffee shop this morning, and we were talking about what we focus on and what we can control and what we can't control. And I think people that complain often complain about things they can't even impact.
Yeah.
What a disempowering place to be. Like, I catch myself sometimes, I live in Victoria now, and the weather certainly isn't what it used to be like in Queensland. And sometimes I will complain about the weather, and I will catch myself doing it. I go, Georgina, can you change the weather? Are you God, universe? Can you go up and just wipe those clouds away, bring it the blue sky? No. What a waste of energy. And I catch myself doing it. And I just quickly go, right, move on. We're not thinking about that today. But that's on a small scale, right? That's a very small scale, complaining about the weather. But it's an example of something that you can't control. So focus on things you can control, but do not complain or moan or blame. It is just the most disempowering thing you can possibly do, and it will totally erode your confidence. The final C that I do think that really does impact your confidence is criticize. Not just criticizing yourself, but criticizing others. Because if you are criticizing somebody else, if you're being really nasty, putting them down, there is something in them that is triggering you. And I think this is really, really powerful, right? When we criticize others, when we put others down, when we focus on somebody else's shortcomings, we have to take a deep look at ourselves and go, what about that person is causing this in me to be triggered? And again, that all comes back to self-empowerment. And now, I do sometimes look at people and I will naturally sort of make an assumption or even a judgment. And I'm very aware every time I do that. Why have I just done that? Why have I just thought about that person? And I'll have to really take a hard look at myself when I do that to go, is there something in that person that I dislike in myself? Because I think it's like holding up a mirror. So criticism, whether it's of yourself or others, don't do it. It is the quickest way to put yourself down, to disempower yourself, to focus on all of your flaws and all of your weaknesses. And I think far too many of us, especially as women, wake up every morning, look at ourselves in the mirror. Oh, bad headache today. Oh, look at my skin. Oh, look at my body. Oh, look. Straight away, you just start the day in a negative. Imagine if every single morning you woke up and you focused on all the things that you really liked about yourself. And you pointed out every single day the things that you really thought were your strengths and your good bits, and, whether that's externally or internally. But I think we're so quick to criticize ourselves and others. And it is a toxic trait in our society that I would love to erase, because we are all just human beings. We're all doing the best that we can. And to criticize and beat yourself up, like, it would be so easy to get to the end of the week, right? And focus on all the things that haven't gone well, focus on the things that we wish we'd done better, could have handled that better, could have said that better. Oh, that didn't come across well. Like, you and I were in the David Jones offices the other day doing that presentation to the women in tech, right? That went really well. And I was really proud of us both. And we came out of that feeling really proud, and it was a really good session. We got really good feedback, but we were focusing on the things that we did well. We weren't focusing on the things that we perhaps could have done better.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's probably where you and I'll give ourselves some credit now.
Mm-hmm.
We do that well. We don't focus on the negatives. We don't focus on the things that we're not good at. We don't focus on the things that we need to improve upon. We focus on the things every week within reason. Like, I think we want to learn from the things that our weaknesses, but we focus more on our strengths than we do our weaknesses. And that's what I think is built our confidence over the years.
Yeah, I think, like, you know, Mel Robbins, she's obviously so big on mirror work.
Yeah.
By the way, do you know mirror is a word that I've really struggled to say my whole life? I say mirror, sorry. Mirror work. So Mel Robbins
Don't criticize yourself.
Sorry guys, I'm just criticize myself. So mirror work. Mel Robbins is obviously really big on that. But if you can just stand in front of the mirror in the mornings, mirror, and just start by saying 3 positive things about yourself in the morning. It will set your morning off in a really good trajectory. So give that a bash, try that. But the power of positive self-talk is so important. You are so right. The other week when we were actually in the David Jones office, I really enjoyed that. But at the start, now that I'm actually thinking back to that, we are so good at coming away and just going, this is what I liked about this. This was so good about this. I know personally something that I want to get better at when it comes to presenting is opening and sort of easing into a presentation and easing into a workshop a bit more naturally. But at the moment, I still get really nervous when I start speaking, which doesn't allow me to really embrace and speak really naturally, which is when I find my flow. So I want to find my flow a lot quicker, but that I know that I am going to cultivate more confidence over time in my abilities to run workshops and run these presentations and get into my flow a lot quicker. But I still am at the stage where I'm working on building that confidence because I still feel a bit shaky at the start for a couple of minutes. But I own that. I accept it. That's a journey I'm going on, but that's something that I know that I want to work on. So again, just relating it back to that confidence, like, you know, people would probably look at me and go, oh my God, I would never guess that you get, you don't get nervous. Correct. No way. Oh, yes, I do. Oh, I definitely see spots when I start standing up and when I first start speaking, which is why you'll probably notice when Georgie and I run our events or run our sessions, I speak first. Because I have to shake my nerves off really quickly. Otherwise, it ends up really rolling into like 15 minutes into the presentation. Whereas if I start speaking, it shakes off those nerves a lot quicker. So now that you've spoken about David Jones, that's just a reflection that I think is very much related to how I am still in the process of cultivating that confidence when it comes to that certain aspect of my career.
Beautiful. But you're, again, going back to the whole swimming analogy, this is kind of like your modern day swimming, isn't it? Because you're having the courage to put yourself in the comfortable position. You're not comparing yourself. You're going in, you're doing it. And then over the next however many years that we continue to do presentations and speaking and things, you're going to get more competent. And then the confidence will grow. And that's a prime example of that in today's world, in the corporate world, where you are putting yourself out of your comfort zone and you're really sort of relying on that external confidence, the projection that you want the audience to feel. And even though internally you might be a bit jittery, but for you now, it's bridging the gap between, I have got this belief in yourself. It's new. I'm feeling a bit vulnerable, but actually I know I've got this, and the external will filter through into the internal. But sometimes we do need to fake it till we make it a little bit.
We do. I think as well, a lot of people are scared about coming across with confidence because they worry or are concerned that it could be perceived as arrogance.
Oh, yeah.
And it's quite simply not the case, because you can be confident in a really authentic way.
Correct. And I think confidence and arrogance, they're two separate energy fields, separate things.
Oh yeah, I've met many arrogant people in my life.
They're not true confident. No. They're actually riddled with insecurities.
Yeah.
That's not confidence. That's just ego. And those people will never go on to live happy, successful lives because they will constantly self-sabotage and they'll end up, being very miserable. That to me is that's not even in the same galaxy as confidence. That is something totally different. So we must stop comparing people that come across as being arrogant and forceful and opinionated as confident, because they're not. They're actually typically quite insecure people.
Yeah.
Or unhappy people at the very, hurt people, right? So let's round off the podcast with the things that boost confidence, right? Like, what are we all going to do to become the most confident, best versions of ourselves? So these are the 3 C's that I believe, we both believe boost confidence. So the first one, clarity. You know who you are, you know what you want out of life. You have a clear vision of where you're going. You know you can get there. You have the direction. Like you just know what steps you need to take in order to achieve your goals and to get you to where you want to be. Clarity breeds confidence. And this is something that probably over the years I've had to work on the most, because I have questioned a few of my decisions over the years, and I've had to really sort of sit back and go, what is it that I truly want out of my life, out of my business, for my relationships, for my finances, for my health? And the more clear you can get about the type of life you want to live, the kind of person you want to be, the more confident you will be, because you will end up taking the right steps and the right actions to get you to where you want to be. And once you start taking those right actions that are aligned with your values, with who you are, you start to build that momentum, you see that progress, and it's reinforcing those self-belief that I've got this. But it all starts from believing in yourself, being clear on what you want, and going and taking the right actions to get there. But clarity is king. If you don't know where you're going, like we would never get in a car and go, I want to get there, but not know how to get there. So first and foremost, think about where you want to go, and then break it down into the actions that you need to take to get there. And it doesn't matter how small they are, but just breaking them down to those really tiny steps and doing those steps every day, you will get to your end destination. And that's really, really powerful. So clarity is one of the 3 C's that boost confidence.
I'm actually just laughing because you just used a car analogy, and Georgie has just built up the confidence to get behind the wheel again and do the 2-minute drive from her house to my house. But I'll bet you that's why that car analogy is fresh in your mind at the moment.
100%. Yeah, I mean, that again, little insight into Georgie's world. I haven't driven in 10 years. I do have a license. But,
license to go.
Yeah, literally. I said to my husband today, I think we should put the L plate. He's like, Georgina, you can't. You've got a full license. I was like, oh God, people think I actually know what I'm doing. Don't worry, I'm going out late at night. I'm not just sort of driving down the motorway being a pain. But no, I feel very vulnerable when I step back into a car. Yeah. Things are coming back to me pretty quickly, right? But yeah, probably why I'm having the analogy. But again, I'm proud of myself. I'm starting to do some longer trips now, and I'm doing it. I'm building up the confidence. And the reason why I'm doing it is the clarity is I don't want my driving to hold me back from, living in the house one day that I want to live in. Like I've got a purpose for driving again now, and that's what's fueling it. So again, comes back to clarity. The second C is courage. And I always say this, but people think I've got to be confident to do something. No. First and foremost, you need the courage to step outside your comfort zone, to back yourself, to get in the pool, to get behind the wheel again, to step in front of an audience, to present whatever it is. Everything starts from having the courage to just push yourself outside of your comfort zone. I cannot stress that enough. Do not wait until you feel confident, because that day will never, ever, ever, ever come. We need the courage to do it first and foremost. So, so powerful. I just can't stress that enough. First comes courage. And you've just given so many amazing stories and references.
Oh, thanks very much.
No, you have. I love that swimming analogy. But yeah, taking some calculated risk, pushing yourself in the face of your challenges, and embrace new opportunities. And the final C of confidence is that competence. And this is all coming back to acquiring new skills, acquiring new knowledge, getting really good at something, not like you said, spreading yourself so thin and doing multiple things all at once. Just pick one thing, even in our careers, right? Like we presented at David Jones the other day, one of the key slides that we said is focus on your strengths when it comes to your hard skills. Mm-hmm. So what in your career right now are you naturally good at? We've all got something that in our careers and our lives that we just come naturally to us. That's where you want to become a career craftsman, become so competent at it, become so good at it. And then if there's something you really want to work on, acquire the knowledge, acquire the skills to make sure that you get competent at something, because that's also what breeds confidence.
I love that. That is really powerful. If you are good at something, work on becoming great. That is honestly so powerful, because we relate it back to even school terms. You're always taught, if you're shit at maths,
which I was
as well,
10.
100%. And I'll tell you what, that held me back into my adult life, because I honestly thought for a long time I would never be able to have my own business because I wasn't good at maths. What a crock of
rubbish.
Crap.
Yeah.
Now, don't work or double down on your strengths, I think, is the key thing. Take it from good to great. Outsource the stuff that you're not necessarily the best at.
Delegate.
So powerful. So powerful.
I know.
Teach that to your kids.
Because imagine if every single day we woke up and we focused on trying to balance the books. You and I would,
I would honestly find it so boring.
1 month
I just want
you and
someone
I'd
to
be
report
like,
to me.
this isn't going to work. This is not going to work. We've not got this. Right? Imagine if that's what we focused on. We've got to get good at accounting. We've got to get good at balancing the books. We've got to get good at invoices. We've got to get good at this. Oh my God, you and I would not be in business today. Instead, we was like, right, from day one, we're going to have a bookkeeper and accountant. Boom. Outsource that, delegate that. You and I can focus on our strengths, which is obviously building relationships, business development, developing new accounts, sourcing exceptional talent. That's where we're going to focus. That's why we've built the business. If we'd woken up from day one, gone, we need to focus on all of these weaknesses, we need to get really good at this, we would never have got off the launch pad.
100% right. Imagine we decided, right, okay, let's divide and conquer here. I'm going to focus on zero. I'm going to focus on the P&L.
Oh God.
And instead of focusing on
bankrupt.
Instead of focusing on really getting better at public speaking, like, for example, we would not be getting to run this workshop because I would be sitting there crunching numbers. Boring.
Literally crunching.
Honestly, boring. I find it so boring as well.
Me too.
And I wouldn't enjoy it, so it's, pick your lane and pick your lane in something that you think that you have a strength in that you can become great in. Yeah. And I know that I'm a good speaker, but doing that on a public platform or speaking on a platform, not something I was particularly great at, but I'm working on it. I'm out there and I'm trying hard. And I think that that's an area that I could really add value in and have impact in. And that's enjoyable, right? That's something that I want to work towards. Would I be particularly excited if I was working towards becoming a zero expert? No. I
don't think I would either, to be honest.
No. But we have people in our business that love
it. Exactly. And they do, and they're so good with like numbers and accounting, and
they get excited
amazing.
About it.
Yeah.
I just want to tell me.
Yeah. Tell me what the facts are and the numbers are, and brilliant. No, exactly. But listen, I think we have just shared some very important insights that we feel that would really benefit you, and hopefully that there's something that you've got from today's podcast. And we love going in and doing the workshops, and but we didn't just want it to be confined to the 30 women that are going to be in the room this week. We wanted to share some key insights that we feel would really help you. And confidence is an ongoing journey, and it's something that we all need to continue to work on. And I also think as well, it's like, the more skills that we can acquire, the more confident we become as well. And, let's use your public speaking as an example. Like, you've really had to work on that. That's something that you didn't think you were ever going to be able to do.
No.
And seriously, like the first time we went into Uni Super to do that really big presentation at the start of the year, you were so nervous. And then I watched you literally last week get up in front of all the women at David Jones, and it was just like you just effortlessly did it. You were just like, off she went. I was like, wow, this is just case in point of everything we speak to. It's like, so nervous, push yourself out in the comfort zone, but you also were really prepared. You had your cue cards ready in case you got like stuck, but it's been a journey for you. And it's been a wonderful journey for me to watch as your best friend, business partner, like just to see you go on that journey. I'm so proud. And, you know, I know you don't need that validation from me because you're internally confident, but I think it's nice to obviously just, again, when it comes to confidence, have people around you that also love and support you and want the best for you as well.
Yeah, 100%. And see, just to actually relate back to that as well, it's like we're not at school anymore. Like I do still write sort of cue cards because one of my biggest fears is actually having a mind blank and completely forgetting what I'm going to say. So I have cue cards, I have words, I have like a couple of sentences written down just to sort of bring me back and keep me on track. We're not at school anymore. It's not an exam. You come prepared for whatever it is that you want to do in your own way. Even if you're going to an interview, you go to an interview in your way. If you've got certain things that you would have sat next to you that would make you feel more comfortable, that would make you be able to show up in a way that makes you feel a lot safer to be able to truly shine, do it your way. Take along a couple of notes, take a couple of little slides, take something that you want to showcase, do things your way, show up in your way. Right? There's no right, there's no wrong. There's a way that you can set yourself up to feel really comfortable. Go to your meeting if you want to start using your voice and sharing your insights. If it makes you feel more comfortable to have notes by your side and have something prepared going into that, go along and do it that way. It is not an exam. We are all adults and we get to choose which way we show up as well. So that is one key thing. If I was to go to a presentation or a workshop and not have my cue cards, it would leave me feeling so incredibly anxious. I now don't need those, but I still have them. Right? It's a little source of comfort. But that's honestly one takeaway. We're all adults, so you show up in a way that's going to enable you to thrive.
Yeah, absolutely. But have confidence, have belief. You've got this. And reach out to Pam and I. We love hearing from you. Hopefully today's little talk has given you a boost of confidence and also hopefully made you aware of some things that potentially you need to work on. And again, once you're aware of something, you have the power to change it. So we will love you and leave you there. Have an amazing week wherever you are in the world. And we will speak to you again very soon. Take care.